So I'm here to tell you about what it takes to learn a word. And what I want to do here is convince you of two things. First, that babies are awesome. And second, that by learning about how babies and children learn words, we can actually learn a lot about human and machine learning. So, okay. Imagine that I tell you that this here is a DAX. You can probably figure out that DAX means rabbit. It's just not that hard, and you can store this away for future use. You guys are basically word learning experts. It's just what you do all your life. You're still doing it, you know. DAX right here. But imagine you're an explorer on another planet. If an alien waddles up to you and says DAX, all of a sudden, stripped of context, you don't really know what it means. Perhaps it means hello. Maybe it means dinner. Maybe it means that's a giant rabbit and it's about to eat you. So babies are kind of like space explorers when they're born, right? They basically know nothing about the culture they're in, and they have to figure out how to learn words. And the amazing thing about them is that they do it so quickly. So they figure out almost 250 words by the time they're a year and a half old. So what that means is that young babies take thousands of exposures to learn a word, but by the time they're 18 months old or 2 years old, they're learning words incredibly quickly. And that's the scientific puzzle that I'm trying to solve. So how do you get better at learning words? And I want to show you 4 ways that kids get better. First, you funnel words into your ears. You lay the groundwork for language acquisition by hearing an incredible amount of speech while you're in the crib, while you're riding in the stroller. This is basically big data for babies. Millions of words coming in every minute. So what we did is we had adults simulate being babies. We had them sit there with iPods on. This is an incredibly boring experiment. They hear thousands of words in an artificial language in a monotone for 10 hours a day while they work out. I did this to myself. It wasn't fun. But the amazing thing about it is that you remember all the words that were high frequency in the language 3 years later. So when we test people after not hearing the language for 3 years, that awful garbage that I put in my brain, it's stuck there for good. So learning the forms of words only gets you so far. You actually need to look at other people to learn what words mean. So this is a group of toddlers at the Children's Museum. It's a heat map of their fixations on a member of my lab as he talks about an object. And what they're doing is very smart. They're looking at his face and his gaze. What we found is that over the first couple of years of life, kids really change the way they look at the world. They start homing in on the social signals coming from faces and hands to figure out what words mean and what's going on in the world. So it's not enough just to look at somebody's face and to kind of understand what they're saying and map it to objects. You also need to make some assumptions about them to learn from them. So imagine I say that my friend has glasses. Can you tell me which of these guys is my friend? If you're like the people in our studies, you probably think it's the guy in the middle. Because if I'd been talking about the guy on the end, I would have said he has a hat or a top hat or a hat and glasses. So even 3- and 4-year-olds can actually make this inference. And they're doing that by strengthening the truth value of what I say and actually figuring out if I'd meant something stronger, I would have said top hat. So this is a great way to learn words. So if you've got these 2 pimwits here, we show these to kids, of course. If you've got these 2 pimwits, the one that's Feppy is probably this guy over here, and he's got a yellow skin and a black pattern. But if I ask you what the next one, what this other one is, which of these is Feppy? It's the guy with the yellow skin also, because I'm being informative. I'm trying to help you. So I'm picking out a feature that is contextually relevant. So kids can learn words by understanding that people are informative. The last way that kids learn words is by asking when they don't understand. So we put a wireless camera on the heads of children, and we put them in these crazy ambiguous situations. We say, can you put the Skyger in the bucket? And they have no idea which of these is a Skyger. So they look and say, I don't know what's a Skyger. Can you tell me? So that information-seeking behavior is one other way that they're actively acquiring information about the world. They're trying to figure out what somebody is trying to tell them in order to learn the meanings of words. So they lay the groundwork with passive exposure. They look at other people to learn meanings. They assume that others are being informative. And they ask when they don't understand. So all of these are ways that children are becoming expert word learners. So you can think of young babies as kind of standard machine learning. You take a big data set, you crunch through it, and you do pretty well. Then toddlers are like modern machine learning. They've got hierarchical models, they've got feature selection, they've got all this great stuff. What I want to argue to you guys now is that there's a lot we can learn from toddlers. Basically, by figuring out how kids learn words, we can improve the kind of machine learning we do. And then we can also use machine learning reciprocally to figure out the nature of human learning. So, thanks very much.